In the 1970s, Pink Floyd put out that famous song Money, and that's the focus now of our next video: scholarships and money matters. So obviously your path through university or to university will be a whole lot more enjoyable and successful if you have the financial support required to be able to make that journey. Scholarships are a significant contributor towards that. VTAC collects scholarship applications for many of the institutions. One application submitted can actually be applied across many of the institutions at exactly the same time, in the same way as the CEAS works. It's important to remember that scholarships aren't just for academic performance, so they're not just for students who do really well with their ATARs. They are also available on the same equity principles that have been applied in CEAS. And as such, because if you have completed a CEAS application, the chances are that you're going to be able to qualify for scholarship applications on the basis of those same equity principles. So therefore, the kind of documentation that you needed for those CEAS applications will be transferable for the scholarship applications. So that's why we say it's really important that you keep those documents as Word documents, and you can save them later on. And you can reapply in 2021 should you decide to defer and you want to reapply for scholarships then. Now, because often you have been required to have statements of support with your CEAS application, you're going to need statements of support with your scholarship application too. Now, if you're really smart about this and you do your CEAS application at the same time, or your scholarship application shortly after doing your CEAS, then you can get somebody who is providing a statement of support to supply it across both your CEAS and your scholarships. When they're sent an electronic link for doing that, for providing a statement of support, they have the option to be able to tick the box to apply it to both. So that's something that you need to be aware of. The dates for the supporting documentation for both CEAS and scholarships is the same. It's the 9th of October, and you need to make sure that you've got it in by 5 p.m. Certainly don't leave it till the 9th of October, because if the website crashes, then you'll be in all sorts of bother. So scholarships, what are they? How can you get one? Well, the two main types of scholarships are merit, so they're the academic ones, and the others are equity and access scholarships. They're the fairness ones. Institutions, so each of the universities and TAFEs and private providers have both access and equity scholarships and merit scholarships. The Commonwealth provides scholarships also. They're done through Centrelink. And in the fourth group is the private or industry scholarships. So they'll be individual organisations, might be set up through benefactors or trusts, philanthropy or companies, and you will apply separately for those. So here's the two institutional ones, access and equity and merit scholarships. You'll see that some will target certain socio-economic groups. Commonwealth scholarships, which are done through Centrelink. And finally, the fourth type. So this type isn't covered by your VTAC application, but we're going to deal with that a little bit later on, because there is definitely ways that you can access these. So how can you actually access applying for VTAC scholarships? It's really quite simple. You do it through your CEAS, your VTAC application. So here's your portal. When you log in, if you have registered, you will get a portal. If you have made a course application already, then you can submit a scholarship application, and you'll see that that will appear as a link in your making an application box. Hopefully you've already done your CEAS, and now you're just heading towards doing your scholarship application. So you would click on the scholarship application. So when you click on the link for the scholarships application, you'll come to a page that looks a little bit like this, and you'll be required to enter certain information. If you refer now to the PDF file that I have available, making your VTAC scholarship application, that will go through screen by screen each of the different pages that appear here, and the kind of questions that are going to be asked. So as you're doing your VTAC application, you can have the PDF open, and that will help you to be able to select the right options available. So here's the PDF that is available for you, Scholarships and Money Matters. And you'll see that the first section of this is based on the website and putting your scholarship application into VTAC. It has screen grabs of what you're looking at and information to help you understand the questions that it's asking and what you should be doing. The second part of the document is looking at other options available, and we'll get onto that shortly. So once you have your VTAC scholarship application completed, the next thing will be to have a really good look and an ongoing search for other potential scholarships. It's important to remember that you can turn searching for scholarships into being a part-time job. Some of these scholarships could be worth $5,000 or more, and of course, if you were working a part-time job, it would take you a long time to be able to earn $5,000. So you can use that as motivation to be able to devote time, regular time, on searching out possible scholarships. I'm familiar with students in the past who've been able to fund through scholarships up to $45,000 in their tertiary training across the years. So it is definitely worth investigating and turning it into a bit of an investigation and ongoing research for yourself. So let's look at the other ways you can access scholarships. The handout, the scholarships handout that you've already been referred to, that PDF, you'll see at the back of that there's a long list of hot links that you can go to and investigate particular scholarships. All of those scholarships that are listed there have been successfully applied for by students previously from our schools. And further than that, you can use the Greater Shepparton Secondary College Careers website, and I'm going to show you that shortly and what you can do there. Of course, you can use Google and the search engines on Google. Career News, which comes out every fortnight and you get in your Compass feed, and on the Facebook page that has in it at various stages different scholarships. And on the other fortnights, the school newsletter has the same, so you need to keep an eye out for both of those. And of course, look out for advertisements in our Facebook group and other places for scholarships that pop up from time to time. On the front page of the school careers website is a search engine. It's a widget on the bottom of this screen grab. You can search for careers, you can search for courses, or you can search for scholarships, and you can put all kinds of conditions around that search. So it's a really good tool. And here's an example of one of those scholarships that came up in a search that I recently did, and that is applicable to any McDonald's employees. It's typical of the way these scholarships are laid out. On the front page, also, in the post-school options drop-down box, if you went to university, then it opens up a whole host of other links, including scholarships. So let's now go to the website and have a look at what that would show us. So here's the front page of the school careers website. Down here is the widget that I was talking about. So if we put in a scholarship, we can type in any keywords, or we can just do a search according to location, or we can do a search according to the area of your interest. At the top, post-school options, university, scholarships. And this will take us to the same database, but there are specific links for other university options. And here is all of the universities And the links on here will take you to every one of those pages that universities that have scholarship pages. So that's a fantastic tool for you to be able to use too. So the final pages in the PDF that I've referred to a few times has a whole host of different scholarships that we've had students successfully apply for in the past. And each one of these has a link that you can click on. Some of them are for particular universities, some are for particular philanthropic organisations, and some are targeting particular groups. For instance, if you had a family connection to the dairy industry, then the Gardner Foundation scholarships might be appropriate for you. If you're an international student, then here's a search engine that enables you to look at scholarships applicable to just international students. If you had a connection with agriculture, then there are scholarships applicable there. So you can work your way through that list. I'd encourage you to look at each one of those and whether or not they apply to the things that you are interested in. Of course, scholarships aren't the only way that you can boost your financial independence. Applying for and receiving the youth allowance will make a significant difference to whether or not you can support yourself through your study. So it's definitely worth investigating. Many of our students, in fact, defer study for 12 months and take up gap year employment in order to meet the qualification requirements needed for youth allowance. There's a requirement to earn a certain amount of money over a certain period of time and over a certain number of average hours in order to meet that requirement. And it's definitely worth investigating, and I'd encourage everybody to make the most of that. You can go to the Centrelink website and do an investigation around youth allowance and meeting the eligibility for independent living. Employment is also going to be something that will help people get through their tertiary study. So having a polished resume ready to go, as well as your tax file number and your proof of identity documents that include passports or visas or birth certificates, driver's license, have all of those ready in the one folder so that you can lay your hands on them quickly. Make yourself more employable for casual or part-time work by gaining experience and qualifications, things like having your RSA, which is the Responsible Service of Alcohol, RSG, food handlers, your bronze medallion. Those kind of qualifications can make part-time and casual employment far easier to get and make you more competitive against others going for those same positions. Register and apply for employment with the big employers, organisations like Crown Resorts in Melbourne. So the casino organisation is Crown Resorts, and they employ an enormous number of people in casual and part-time roles across all areas of hospitality and associated roles. You can seek a transfer with your current employer. So if you're working with Bunnings in Shepparton or Woolworths in Shepparton, trying to get a transfer to one of the organisations close to your university studies would be a really good option. Traineeships, if you're looking at a gap year, a traineeship is a really good option. But in order to qualify for those, you must attend the online information session with the Apprenticeship Factory on Tuesday the 8th and Thursday the 10th of September. Information about applying through the Apprenticeship Factory for those positions was advertised in Facebook in the Year 12 groups. If you haven't got that information and you need it, then send me a message. Canvass employers in the fields related to the things that you're going to be studying. Contact them personally, drop off a cover letter in your resume. You know, if you're going to be taking a gap year or going to be studying in law, for instance, then contact law firms and ask if they've got any part-time office work that you can be able to do where you might be able to get some experience in that field. And also they would identify that you're already interested in that field of work. Register for seasonal employment with the SBC and Unilever. Or You can boost your financial independence by actually staying at home and studying from home. Deakin offers online courses via what they call their cloud campus. Open University have many online courses, so they could be options. Study locally. It might be study with La Trobe University locally. It might be study with the University of Melbourne through the Dookie campus, Diploma of General Studies, or it could be at TAFE. Studying locally reduces the cost of not having to move away. And of course, staying at home and accepting your offer and deferring for 12 months so you can save money might help make that transition to tertiary education easier. It's definitely important to prepare a budget. Put some time and some effort and research into identifying what your expected expenses and income are going to be so that you know what to expect and you can plan for those things. I hope that you've found this useful. Remember, there's some really good resources that will be at your disposal. The careers website, the PDF file that explains how to complete your VTAC application online and also has links in it to various other scholarships. Good luck, and we'll speak again soon.